Number 7. The bloodboarding trap from Saw X. It's fitting that a trap from the newest Saw film makes this list. And at the time of this video's release, Saw X is still in theaters. And out of respect for the filmmakers, I won't be showing any bootleg footage of this trap while the film's still playing in theaters. So please go see Saw X in theaters as well as purchase it when it comes out on DVD. So during this video, I will show behind the scenes pictures released to the public of what I believe is the true star of Saw X, Carlos the Warrior, played by Jorge Briseño. Why? Because goddammit, I love Carlos. This kid rules in this movie. Having said all that, onto the trap itself. This trap is definitely worth talking about because this is the first time that Tobin Bell himself, at age 80, has placed himself at one of his own traps. I mean, you can argue that he did the same thing in Saw 1 while lying on the bathroom floor, Saw 2 being a part of Eric's scream, and even his death scene with Jeff in Saw 3, but this one, he actually has to fight for his own life, and not only trying to survive, but to save a life of a kid as well. In the film's climax, we see Dr. Peterson get the upper hand of both John and Amanda with the reveal of her partner, Parker Sears, being a part of the scam, as well as Cecilia's lover. So in an act of revenge, they put John in one of his own traps. But Cecilia decides that instead of Amanda joining John in his game, it should be Carlos, a boy who John interacted with earlier in the film. And what follows is just breathtaking. We see 80-year-old Tobin Bell and a 10-year-old boy being waterboarded alive, but with blood instead of water. That is just intense. At first, John's instincts take over and he tries to relieve Carlos and take the full force of the bloodboarding. This is really a true key moment for the John Kramer character because he's choosing to save the life of a young boy. John knows his time is short and he is willing to sacrifice his life to save the kid. But little Carlos decides that he sees the same man who was kind to him before is willing to sacrifice his life for him. He decides in that moment to ignore John's request and pulls the lever trying to save John. And for that, Carlos becomes the unsung hero in this trap because had he listened to John, Jigsaw, I believe, was going to die. But by pulling that lever, this boy takes a full force of bloodboarding right over his head, and that gives John enough time to recover. But once John does recover, he tells Carlos to please don't pull the lever anymore and try to live. There is so much I could talk about this scene, and I will in my ultimate Saw X spoiler video, but the performances from everyone involved in this trap is just fantastic. With Tobin and Jorge's performances, to Kevin Greuter's direction, and to production designer Anthony Stabley's work with the trap itself, and most of all, in my opinion, Charlie Clouser's amazing score to this soundtrack in this scene. It just intensifies it so much with the music, all the build-up, and we know since this is a prequel film that John lives, but it got so stressful to the point where even I didn't know if Carlos was going to survive at one point. And that's saying something for a Saw film. Now for this list, this is the only trap from this movie that makes this top 10. And while I do like the bone marrow and the brain surgery traps, and they are fantastic in their own rights, I went with this one for the reasons I just listed. That and because Carlos is a warrior, and he deserves to be inducted into the Saw franchise Hall of Awesome. All those in favor, say aye. I love you, Carlos. We all do.